It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. Thanks for tuning in, being part of the program. A lot of great texts last hour. 435-339-0321. You want to be part of the show this hour? We previewed and updated what went on.
What went wrong?
What went on in Region 11 basketball last night. We've got Utah State, San Diego State later on tonight. It's a Would You Rather Wednesday. If you've got a Would You Rather you want to share with the show, Utah Jazz are in action as well. So a lot of different topics that we're covering here on the show. It wasn't part of our show prep to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, but that took a big chunk of the show last hour. In fact, a text, this is more of a carryover from last hour, but this is 8968. Texting in, Cowboys are like Kim Kardashian. Not many say much good about her, but they keep talking about her.
Yeah, it's true. There's at least something of substance to say about the Cowboys. There is nothing of substance about what's-her-face.
Yeah, she's famous for being famous.
Yeah. Cowboys at least have a reason to be famous.
Self-perpetuating.
They won like 4 Super Bowls or whatever. They have a bunch of, iconic players in the history of the NFL. There's a reason to talk about the Cowboys. They just get a little more than other people than they deserve at this point. I don't know what people like about Kim Kardashian.
Utah State taking on San Diego State later on tonight. 9 o'clock tip-off on CBS Sports Network. And ESPN's BPI, their matchup predictor, San Diego State favored by nearly 80% in this matchup. Las Vegas line has them favored by 7. But look, this is still a winnable game for USU. This is a San Diego State team who lost at home to New Mexico, struggled on the road at Colorado State, who's not very good this year. Didn't exactly blow away Air Force. They've struggled against some other teams. They struggled against Wyoming, who we've already detailed has had a really down year. So they give them credit. They're finding ways to win, but they're not dominant. They're the number one team in a tough conference, but they're not dominating the competition.
Yeah, they're beatable. That's the key. It's that they're beatable. They're moral. They have weaknesses. You can get to them. A team like Utah State, who is... I said it to somebody earlier this week, they're a good team, but they have flaws. That's what the Aggies are. Good, but they have flaws. Which generally means if you're a good team, the kind of team Utah State is, you can still beat a lot of opponents. You just have to have that kind of game where everything goes right. Because this is going to be one of the toughest games Utah State will play this year at all. So maybe they can win it. Sometimes you just find yourself in the right moment. Utah State just came out of 2 grinded-out wins where they found ways to win. And so they're already kind of used to that. Maybe they'll be able to do it against San Diego State. But it is going to require them to play better than they did against UNLV or San Jose State, because they won those games despite showing some of their flaws. In both of those games, they gave their opponents too many chances. That's why those games were close. You do that against a much better opponent on the road, and you'll see something more akin to what we saw when Utah State went to Boise State or Nevada.
In fact, Coach Ryan Odom talked a little bit about that environment there at the Viejas Arena, a tough team that plays really solid defense. Aggie's going to have to play their best basketball game of the year, really, to get that win at San Diego.
Certainly San Diego State provides a tremendous challenge in regards to that. their physicality, their gap defense, and ability to steal your ball, their pressure, and obviously their crowd is a factor. They have a great home court, advantage, and so our guys will have to be, on top of their game, to have a chance to win.
It's possible. I mean, have we seen well, I should say, have we? We have. We've seen several games this season where Utah State is at its best. And we've seen its high-octane offense, great outside shooting, an inside presence, smart with the ball. But we have seen these games. And they have to find one of those again tonight. Because San Diego State, they know the last time, this will be their first home game since they lost at home. And they don't want to have to lose, 2 home games in a row.
Yeah, that'd be tough for them. And you mentioned you look at some specific examples where the Aggies have played about as good as they'll play. You look at Bradley, beat them 84-62. It's a solid Bradley team. They beat Santa Clara 96-74, a game where they had 25 assists and 12 steals. About as close to perfection as you're going to get, putting up 96 points in a 22-point win against a solid Division I opponent. That kind of score is who you normally beat the Westminsters by. And of course, they beat Westminster. They set a record in terms of three-pointers made. So we've seen them play at their peak. Granted, it's been a minute since they've played at their peak. The closest they've really come is they were pretty close to their peak in that first half at Air Force. That's about as close to their peak we've seen since some of those early games in the non-conference schedule. So we'll see if they're able to bring that back. It might be tough to see them play that well in such a tough conference. But we know the Aggies are capable of playing like that, and they've done it multiple times this season.
And one of the things that San Diego State has routinely always been known for is stout, stingy defense. Good wing players who make it tough at the initial point of attack. And this year's team, not much different. I mean, Coach Odom praises their defense and some of the length that they have and the challenges that will pose to his team tonight.
They've got bigger bodies, and so they're athletic. And so they put pressure on you. They get you inside the paint to where their other bodies are, and sometimes it's hard to get it out of there. Guys are open, but you can't see it. And so we've got to do a good job of, getting our guys prepared for that, going into the game.
Yeah, I know it'll be a key. You look at UNLV, Utah State struggled against some of the length of UNLV. And so San Diego State, they can cause some of the same problems. Will Utah State be able to handle that? Will they be able to pass the ball around? Because the Aztecs are going to get in the passing lanes. I don't think they have the same emphasis that UNLV puts on jumping those passing lanes, but still you get them and you disrupt Utah State's offense where it's very much passing oriented, moving the ball around a lot, finding the right pass, and we'll see if they're able to overcome that.
So this is a big matchup for USU that the length and the size of San Diego State is a challenge, but it also means that they're can throw some different types of lineups at you. And Coach Odom praises that they have a lot of versatility with what they're able to do with their different lineups they can throw at you.
They've got some versatile lineups that they can put out there. That can challenge you from a size perspective and physicality perspective, and they've got some more offensive-minded lineups as well that they can put out there. So, we expect a full challenge, and we're excited about the opportunity to play against San Diego State.
I'll say this: multiple times the interview, Odom said he was excited, but I mean, it sounded like Odom came from the most boring meeting he's ever attended in his life. Because normally he's a lot more, up. He sounded like he'd just done something incredibly boring or was about to go do something incredibly boring. Or I don't know. Because he had a bit of a deadpan voice. Just wasn't the right moment to catch him for an interview. Because obviously he gave good insight. It wasn't like his what he said was anything. It was just the tone was kind of interesting. I was like, yeah. You sound like you just came from something incredibly boring, and I'm sorry.
He wasn't quite as lively as we normally.
It's like, You come after practice, he's just been doing some inciting for 2 hours. But this one actually wasn't in the spec. Well, it was in the spectrum. It was just like in that front area. And he probably came over from his office where he was just hanging around. He's getting ready to travel. They're about to get on the bus. So it's just kind of funny listening to him where it's like, I guess he was bored. Not to take shots. It was funny. That's kind of what it was.
I don't know if we have different ways to say. Let me pose the question this way, maybe, because based on what you in your preview article and just hearing Coach Odom, would there be a particular position on the court where there needs to be a bigger focus than another for the Aggies to have success?
So I think one thing is when he talked about New Mexico and how they beat San Diego State, I think there was something he pointed out, in terms of New Mexico's guard play, where he felt that was a key to how New Mexico did it. So I suppose in that way, it could be big for Utah State. And I mentioned passing, how San Diego State gets in the passing lanes, then that can cause problems for Utah State. And so the key is the guards have to be able to pass. Stephen Ashworth's got to be able to pass very well. Max Shulga, R.J. Idlerock. You also got to have Z Hamona doing some good passing. Everyone's got to be able to pass, but that's gonna fall more on the guards because that's their role is they move the ball around and they get things going. They'll make the final pass or they'll make the initiating pass for the play. And so guard play is going to be a big key, just as Odom said it was for New Mexico's win over San Diego State. So,
yeah, and so let's talk about that in just we'll hear Coach Odom talk about that. That's a better way to put that. About what New Mexico was able to do in getting that win in San Diego. Maybe lessons that Utah State can take away from that and see if they can replicate.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of control the game, on both sides of the ball, for the majority of the game. They were able to get, some quality looks and some easy baskets, and they were able to get enough stops to win the game. They obviously have, stellar guard play, and then they've got, an inside guy who can, score around the rim and rebound the ball. Adding Udeze to their team, is a big factor. And then, I think they played really tough. They played competitively, and
yeah. So there's some keys. I don't think that cut off early, did it? I don't think so.
It's like he was waiting for one more thought. But.
He had some pauses, and
yes, he did.
Yeah, it happened. And also got the Al Lewis evil sounding chuckle in there. He had a couple of those in some of these clips where usually it's because someone walked in behind, because we were facing the doors, those exterior doors to the Spectrum on the west side, and so like probably 7 or 8 different people came in during the interview. Some of them players, some of them other staff. So it's just kind of funny watching them go through.
Well, New Mexico has some serious talent and big guys that drive their team. Can Utah State, play a similar game to New Mexico? No, I mean the game is different. Their styles are different, but it's for Utah State. It's got to be that the outside shooting has to be on point. They have to be able to manufacture points if the outside shot's not falling. Right? These are things we've talked about a lot for this team. Now, they in these last couple of games, as you've talked about, they've been able to grind out some wins against UNLV and San Jose State, and those are things that potentially could really help them in this game at San Diego State, where a game got away from them at Nevada, game got away from them early on at Boise. But being able to play in these clutch situations could prove to be really beneficial and hopefully put them in a better position to be there in the end at San Diego State.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, you want to be able to perform at when the pressure is at its highest. And I think certainly, as you look across the league, night in and night out, that's what conference play has been about so far this year, as evidenced by last night's game. It's just you have to be able to execute. You have to be able to be a little bit lucky, at times, even when you don't play it perfectly. And, I think you see that from time to time. And, certainly our guys put our team in a position where we had a chance to win the other night. Even though we didn't play our best overall game, we found a way to get it done. And, you could look at the other teams around the conference too that have won games. They've had similar circumstances, right? You're not going to play perfectly. But the key is, are you balanced enough on both sides of the ball to give yourselves a chance to win? Are you solid enough?
That's going to be the $1 million question for tonight. Are they going to be balanced enough? Are they going to find ways to win in a tough situation? It's going to be a tough environment. And look, at least they've been at Boise, which was a tough environment. They've been at Nevada, which was a tough environment. San Diego State, famously a tough environment. But the Aggies haven't been able to win there in 25 years.
However long it's been since 1998.
It's been a while. So can this year be different? That's what we're going to find out.
Yeah, that'll be the key. They'll have to have guys step up. Taylor Funk, Stephen Ashworth, guys who have stepped up at times. They're not perfect every game. Ashworth had a bit of a rough start to conference play, with a couple single-digit scoring games, but he's done well the last few games. So we'll see if he steps up. Any other players step up. Trevin Dorius, you get the role players step up too, like Trevin Dorius and others. As long as you got to have just about everyone step up to win these really tough games.
So pregame coverage will begin at 8. Tip-off will be at 9 on CBS Sports Network. Al Lewis and Jalen Moore will share their thoughts and their unique audio and interviews to give you a unique perspective on the pregame and the showdowns that better than anybody else can. So it'll be at 8 o'clock on 102.1 FM, 610 AM, and then turn on your TV, CBS Sports Network, to watch the game. And then as soon as it's over, fire up the KVNU mobile app, turn on your radio, ask Alexa to listen to KVNU, and it'll be Al Lewis, Jalen Moore with some quick thoughts, and then John Russell on with you as well, taking your phone calls and your texts after what we hope would be a big Aggie win over San Diego State. We've got more from Coach Odom we want to hear from, more of his thoughts about scouting San Diego State, and kind of also about his team too. It's not just about San Diego State. What about his own team and the way some of these guys are playing right now? Some really outstanding performances, individual performances right now for Utah State. We'll get into that coming up here on the Full Court Press.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
It's never too late or too cold to get rid of that old vehicle. Now is the time to earn extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles by paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
As a small business, achieving your financial goals and ambitions can be a steep and rocky mountain climb. This is Lance Zollinger, president at Cache Valley Bank. To conquer the mountain and achieve your goals, it takes planning, hard work, and discipline. At Cache Valley Bank, we have the resources, expertise, and flexibility to help you scale your way to success. Give us a call. Let's work together and climb the mountains that await. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Renegade Rentals in Logan and now Brigham City. Renegade Rentals in Logan and Brigham City are your headquarters for everything snowblower. If you need a snowblower, Renegade Rentals has Aaron's, Toro, and Honda to choose from. Small to commercial size, but don't wait. Inventory is limited. Go to RenegadeRentals.com for details. Renegade Rentals in Logan and Brigham City.
It's engagement season. Time to find the perfect ring. S.E. Needham Jewelers is known for beautifully cut diamonds at excellent prices. Guys, the sparkle is what matters most in the diamond you give your sweetheart. Our diamonds stand apart from those of other stores. Come view our diamonds under magnification. Select a diamond that fits your budget and then have it mounted in a ring that she'll love. Remember, you get S.E. Needham quality at internet pricing. Open Monday through Saturday 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
This is The Herd.
Attention listeners.
With Colin Cowherd.
So the Sean McVay story is very interesting. I want to step back and have a life. I think McVay feels at times a little underappreciated. He saved the quarterback. He saved the franchise. It was a boring, unwatchable mess. And I think he wants a little more power, a little more say in personnel.
This is The Herd.
Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan. They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker here in the Full Court Press. We've been hearing a lot from Coach Ryan Odom as Utah State prepares for San Diego State tonight. 9 o'clock tip-off on CBS Sports Network. That's where you can watch the game. And this is well, let's do this. More from Coach Odom, just generally about this team, who San Diego State is, the talent that they have, and the players Utah State will have to face tonight.
San Diego State's playing good basketball right now, coming off their own road trip where they won 2 in a row, and we're very familiar with them from last season. Have everybody back, from a year ago, and have added, their point guard and Trammell is a dynamic guard, can really score. Obviously, Matt Bradley's a tremendous player, really challenging player to guard. And they're very physical on the glass.
And this is a team that may have some of the toughest guards Utah State will face all year.
Yeah, I know Odom was asked about that, where they have Trammell, Bradley, and Butler. Very capable guard line. They score about 35 points per game combined between the three of them. It's about half of San Diego State's points. They're very good players on both ends of the ball. And also Trammell, he's a shifty guard who got compared to some of the guys Utah State's played before, which immediately made me worried because a couple of those guys are named Cam.
Oh, no.
So we're on at least one of them. He mentioned the Utah Tech, which I think was Cam Gooden. So already we're in danger.
It's a red flag.
It's a huge red flag.
They're certainly one of them, if not the best. Yeah, it could be. I mean, we've got good guards. New Mexico has good guards. Colorado State. UNLV, there's a lot of great, the guard play in our league, night in and night out, you're going to face really good players. And, we saw that the other night with San Jose State, right? Cardenas and Moore, it's hard to find, a tandem like that, in our conference, 2 really good players. And so that's just, it is what it is. Our guys are up for the challenge and excited about the opportunity to play against really good talent and really good programs.
That's kind of scary when you got those three. They account for so much of the offense for what San Diego State does. But at the same time, I also like Utah State's length on the wings. Maybe not so much Stephen Ashworth, but what Shulga and Bairstow can do if they're going to be out on the wing on the perimeter in defensive situations, that can make it tough for opponents to find space. I know Utah State is one of the worst teams in the country in three-point percentage defense, but at least Utah State can make it difficult for an opposing guard to get going downhill.
Yeah, we've seen some really good jobs done by, Max Shulga. even Stephen Ashworth at times, he struggles on defense at times, but there's also, games where he just steps it up and is absolutely on his game, where he can stay in front of guys, force them into difficult situations, or at least more difficult shots. Shulga is one of the better guys I've seen at, even when he's kind of on his back heels the way you can be, when you're trying to stay in front of a guy, you can end up kind of leaning backwards in defense, but when the guys pull up for a mid-range jumper, which typically that's hard to guard, or even a step-back jumper, he gets in their face and contests. And so even if you get shots up against Shulga, he'll make them difficult, and he'll make you earn them. And so we'll see if Shulga can have a good defensive game, Ashworth's going to have a really good defensive game, and then Bairstow, too, is going to be key for him. So, that guard line is going to be very important defensively for the Aggies. If they don't fall apart, then the Aggies are going to have a chance in this game. But there have been some games where the guard line does struggle at times. We've seen guys go off against the Aggies, shifty guards, that can put up a lot of points. They've recovered at times in a lot of those games, but not always.
No, yeah, not always. But, his Coach Odom not only just spent time talking about San Diego State, but he also talked about his own team, some things that Utah State needs to continue to work on, some challenges that his team still needs to address. But there's also some, really good things going on with this team, like Stephen Ashworth playing like a player of the year and how well he's playing right now. Never mind. I just got rickrolled. Oh. I wondered why you're pulling up your phone.
Oh, that was amazing. I had to totally bait you with
hook,
that
line,
one.
and sinker.
Yeah. Odom didn't actually say that. We didn't ask him about Stephen Ashworth.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then I'll shift to the other thing. Well, there's a concern on this team. So much about the good stuff. We'll shift to the concerns. And one of those was the rebounding against San Jose, especially offensive rebounding. That's, you can't have another game like that against a quality team in San Diego State. And I'm crossing my fingers. This is not another
Hopefully I didn't accidentally export the same
Rick
audio
Astley
again.
song here.
Yeah, we didn't rebound well in that particular game because of our veers. So late, guy gets down the lane, he ends up taking a shot over, a bigger body, be it a Trevin or a Dan. We forced some misses around the rim, but we didn't seal down on that big guy, and we didn't check out some of the guys coming to the basket from the wings. And something that this time last year we were practicing quite a bit. Just in kind of, dummy drills. And, it's just something that we'll have to do a little bit better at. And second half, we were much better at it. We had the one possession where they got a few, but, all in all, second half, we did a much better control in the class. It's just we had a hiccup in that first half.
Yeah, that's something I kind of talked about yesterday where, Utah State gave the 10, 11 offensive rebounds in the first half. And then aside from the one possession at the end, they give up 3 offensive rebounds, which is pretty typical for a half. For a good rebounding team, it's going to happen. And it just goes to show that Utah State knows how to make adjustments because they were getting beat hard, and part of it was schematic, as Odom was talking about. And so they worked on that. They talked about that. I'm sure they talked about it in the halftime locker room, and they came out and they executed. And they won probably largely because of that. They probably don't win that game if they allow another 10 offensive rebounds or, throughout the entire half instead of a couple here and then 4 at the end. So it was a great job for Utah State to be able to adjust, and that's something where they learn from. And hopefully they'll be able to apply it going forward. If they see similar things, they're not going to be caught off guard. It'll help when they go play San Jose State again.
True.
It'll be a bit of an easier time, against the team that caused them fits in the first matchup.
And then one other issue that I wanted to get to here from Coach Odom, just addressing how his team struggles on the road, and especially shooting the ball away from home. And they've been playing in tough road environments. Can they get it can they address that? Can they get any better with the tough defensive team that they'll face tonight, and also in a tough arena?
You're going to shoot it well some games, and some games you're not. Some of that stuff, for us, on the road was self-inflicted, right? I mean, we shot it well against Air Force, in the first game, and the second half, we weren't as clear, with our decision making when we attacked the rim. And every team plays a little bit different. I think that's the interesting thing, and how quickly you adjust to how they're playing you, is going to determine offensively what you're going to be able to do.
Big key tonight. Utah State has to be able to perform well offensively. We know San Diego State's a good defensive team, but the Aggies have to be able to hit their shots, have to have that offensive flow, and to get it's more than stating the obvious about scoring more points than the other team. It's really about Utah State. They have to get in a rhythm and be able to sustain that. They've kind of had bad experiences that they can learn from and should know by now. And I think they learned those lessons and implemented them against UNLV and San Jose about finding other ways to get points or make stops until you get your own offense going.
Yeah, you just can't have another night where you shoot 39% against Boise State, 38% against Nevada. You have another one of those games, it's another double-digit loss. Beyond these other games, UNLV and San Jose State, they both wind up shooting north of 50%. But those games were struggles at times on offense. For UNLV, they struggled on offense, but they, as you said, they were able to find ways to get points. They were incredibly efficient in the times where they weren't playing perfect. On the plays where there weren't turnovers, they were being incredibly efficient. And then with San Jose State, when they were finally getting the ball after some defensive rebound at some point, they were able to play well on offense. We'll see how well they do against San Diego State. Again, they're playing on the road, so some of that home cooking they get from their crowd isn't going to be there. Are they going to be able to manufacture that same energy to be able to go toe-to-toe with a very good San Diego State team?
Pre-game at 8 on 102.1 FM, 610 AM with Al Lewis and Jalen Moore. Tip-off at 9 on CBS Sports Network for Utah State and San Diego State. A couple of your texts coming through. We'll get to those. Got to take a quick timeout. Also, Utah Jazz are in action. Some additional thoughts about USU and San Diego State. It's a Would You Rather Wednesday. If you want to chime in and give us a Would You Rather question, 435-339-0321.
Copiers, printers, service, and supplies are just the beginning. Les Olson IT is the premier source for your business's structured cabling, IT, software, telephones, and security systems. We partner with you to find the ideal solution to all of your office technology needs. Tell us your goals and we'll get you there. Find out more at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
Hi, this is Tyler. Recently, my father passed away, and White Pine provided the funeral services for our family. They were friendly, thoughtful, and attentive to every detail. It isn't often that a loved one passes away, so it was very important to my family that everything be handled just right. Because my dad was loved by so many people, we had a lot of family and friends that traveled from out of town. I really appreciate how White Pine Funeral Services made sure everyone was comfortable and that the focus was where it needed to be, on my dad and my family. They really took care of us during this tender time.
We're heading into some crazy weather this winter, which means power outages. Tyler and his team at Golden Spike Electric can install a Generac automatic standby generator for your home so you can avoid issues when the power goes out. If you have one already, Golden Spike Electric can maintain your Generac automatic standby generator for you. Find them online at gsegenerators.com or call 435-257-3016. Golden Spike Electric and Generac automatic standby generators. Power you can count on.
It's cold outside, but you can keep warm inside with a quality-built, super-efficient York furnace. Count on a furnace from York because it's backed by the strongest warranties available. It's just another way we install confidence. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, your local York dealer, at 752-7272. Online at advancedheating-ac.com. York, install confidence.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air. Schreiber Foods in Logan is hiring overnight technicians for maintenance and energy systems. People who can repair, troubleshoot, and perform preventative maintenance on a variety of automated equipment. You'll also have the opportunity to participate in their upcoming expansion projects. Energy systems technicians at Schreiber Foods work with ammonia systems, boilers, and refrigeration. Schreiber Foods doesn't just invest in equipment, they invest in their employees too. Enjoy an 8% 401k match, an employee stock ownership plan, an on-site health and wellness clinic. Apply online at schreiberfoods.com/careers. Equal opportunity employer.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. I got rickrolled.
Still riding the high. That was amazing.
That was good. That was very good. Very well executed. And I see these clips. Like, I know the audio clips that we're going to use. Unfortunately, I don't get the chance to preview all of them before we play them.
And I usually cut them up, and I give them pretty specific titles so that we know what's going on, and then I'll usually kind of give you a big hint that that's the clip I want you to play. But that's why I said I had the idea while I was cutting up the audio. What if I just have the Rick Astley audio? So then I had to, all right, what line can I use to get him to watch this clip? To pull it up on his own.
See, it's believable. I
know.
Ashworth could be considered a player of the year the way he's playing.
Yeah. The thing I'm worried about is I don't think Odom would ever actually say that. So that was maybe a bit of a warning flag. But I wanted to make it, a nice little sexy little liner there. Get you to play it.
Couple texts that we have coming through here on the Full Court Press. 8968. This is referring back to a previous conversation. Jerry Jones and Kim, referring to Kim Kardashian, are famous for the same reasons. They're both big, beep, ... Okay. Thank you, 8968. 9315, couple of texts. Looks like Jason has finally learned how to run the boards with that awesome punk on Eric.
There we go.
And then, would you rather have Jason punk you or the deflator punk you on the show today?
I don't know. Would you rather? You got one of them.
Yeah. I'd rather have Jason punk me on the show.
A little more wholesome. It is rickrolled you. I didn't like electric you.
Yeah,
I don't think Hush wouldn't have done that either.
No.
He's not that kind of person.
Good stuff. A couple more thoughts here from Coach Ryan Odom before we move off totally from Utah State, San Diego State. Last year, it was a tale of contrasts, right? In each game that was played, USU dominating in their home game against the Aztecs, and then San Diego State dominating the Aggies in San Diego. And just kind of strange how they played out last year. And again, we're trying to find lessons or insight as to what Utah State can do to beat San Diego State this go-around. And you kind of have to look at what happened last year to help give you some insight. In one of those games, the Aggies totally dominated.
Well, we took care of the ball. We got quality looks, and we defended better, and we rebounded better. Right. So, I think up here they had 0 offensive rebounds. We controlled the glass. Down there, not the same. And so, every game's a little bit different. They were certainly ready for us. We were desperate at the time, when they came in here. A little bit like UNLV was the other day coming in here. Like, that was our team. We had some hard losses at that point, during early in the season. I think we were like 1-5, playing against a really good San Diego State team. So who knows? Could have caught them off on an off night, not ready. Who knows? But, I'm certainly not going to take anything away from our guys and how we played. We played really well on that particular night.
So, funny thing, he compares Utah State to UNLV. And how, so UNLV started their conference season 1-5 going into Utah State. And the one win UNLV had this year was against New Mexico. In Utah State last year, they had losses early on at Air Force, at Colorado State. They lost to Wyoming at home, lost at Fresno State, lost to Boise State. Then that's where they were going to San Diego State. For both UNLV and Utah State, that one win and a 1-5 start at New Mexico. Just a random similarity I saw because I was looking at the schedules. Partly because I wanted to kind of re-mention the fact in context with this clip. Last year, Utah State played San Diego State, so they were at the 1-5. They beat San Diego State 75-57, good old-fashioned 18-point win. Then later in the year, they go to San Diego State and they lose 75-56, so 19-point loss. It's a big swing going home and away. I don't know if we'll see that this year, but it's something to keep in mind that winning at San Diego State's really hard. It took a really good New Mexico team playing really good basketball to do it. So, I'll say it again. I said about 17 times in this show, Utah State can do it. Just don't be surprised if it doesn't happen.
Well, and one of those things that the USU will need to watch out for is great guard play, as we've already mentioned from San Diego State. You've already kind of mentioned that they've got a guard that Coach Odom has compared to several others who Utah State has faced and Aggies have struggled with before, and that's Trammell. And not only does he get to the free throw line, but he plays in a similar fashion as some other guards who have had some success against the Aggies.
Yeah, he's shifty, and we've played guards like that so far this year, right? Asmus, very shifty player, has the ability to get fouled. The kid from Santa Clara who's having a great year. The kid from Utah Tech, really good player, getting to the basket. We've had, multiple guys, that have similar bodies to him. They're not overly tall, but they're very shifty. And so when you're playing a guy like that, keeping your chest in front, not going for fakes, and using your length is really important.
Yeah, so we, once again, compared somebody to one of the Cams Utah State struggled against, so Curse of Cam is up again tonight. The other two weren't guys named Cam. He mentioned Asmus, former All-American, and then I think he was referencing Brandon Pochemski, I think. I'm not sure if that fits. He might have been talking about one of the other guys from Santa Clara, Carlos Stewart, who's a 6'1" guard, because Pochemski, he's not really a shifty guard. He's a 6'5", bigger wing that just finds his spot and hits his shot. Stewart was a bit more of a shifty guard. So we'll see. Utah State struggled a little bit against these shifty guards at times. They've handled guys like Pochemski really well, and maybe they'll handle Bradley all right. We'll see. They handled Moore, the San Jose State kid. They did all right against him.
Yeah, decently.
I think he ended up going like 9 of 19 or something, like maybe 7 of 19, where it's like he hit some shots, but he was a little inefficient. So they did all right against him. But yeah, Trammell could wind up having a big game against the Aggies. If the Aggies lose, it's probably going to be a big Trammell game. Just because he's the kind of player Utah State struggled against at times.
8739 texting into the program, and 8739, you're going to have to help me out here. But it's a would you rather question. Would you rather have the old Green Canyon head football coach or the new one? And I'll be honest, I don't know who the new football coach is. I don't know if they've probably named him who that is, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I haven't. Who it is? I thought John Newbold texted us who that was a while back.
Did he? Maybe
So I think we might have heard the name, but it was somebody I don't think I'd recognize the name, so I don't know. It's like, I don't know how much you want to pin Green Canyon's struggles the last little bit on Craig Ander. He was a coach who had success, maybe just didn't work at Green Canyon because he's doing well at Skyview. Well, it seems Skyview is just a hotbed of football.
It's a program. Yeah.
So it seemed it's gone through a couple different head coaches now since Ander and still done fine pretty much every year. Green Canyon just doesn't seem to be quite able to get it up for their football program yet. Maybe it'll just take somebody different from Ander. We've kind of had this conversation where sometimes good head coaches struggle because it just doesn't fit and something's just not right. Or, for some coaches, they get lucky early on and then they're able to kind of ride that and build it into a program. And maybe Ander just wasn't able to do that at Green Canyon for who knows how many, number of perfectly legitimate reasons. Or it just could be Craig Ander's fault. I don't know. Yeah. That is a possibility.
It's still always a possibility.
But I just don't know for sure if you can pin it on Ander specifically.
I'm looking through. I can't. If it was sent to me, I've since deleted it. So
yeah.
8739. If you know who the new head coach is at Green Canyon, let us know. I can't remember who it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, Coach Ander had success at Skyview. There was excitement that he could bring that same success to Green Canyon, and for various reasons, it didn't happen. I know this last season that team had significant injuries at significant positions and made it tough for them. And so he's out. He's moved on.
So yeah, I think I found it in my text. It's a name I can't really pronounce, so that's what I'd heard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. JT Tau'ulili.
I'm more willing to let you give that a try than me.
I'm not sure his credentials, so.
I decided I think he was an assistant for Ander for a couple years and was apparently at Lehigh. That's the information I got in the text. I'll be doing my football preview later, guys.
Yes.
That's for like August.
We'll have some updates.
And we'll have, if he's the new head coach, we'll have him on the show.
Because Logan is looking for a new head coach too.
Yeah, that too.
Logan
so
High.
we'll have a couple new head coaches to have a chance to talk to.
Jason, we need to let you go. You've got a girls' basketball game to call here in a little bit.
Yep, got to run over to Logan High and check out the stream, listen to it on the radio. Maybe finish listening to that game before you go over to Al's pregame. So I'll probably finish like in the middle of Al's pregame. Girls' basketball games tend to be a bit short, but.
So it'll be Logan hosting Bear River tonight, and it'll be on the radio on 107.7 KLZX. Video streaming on CacheValleyDaily.com, part of our girls basketball game of the week that we're doing here in the Cache Valley Media Group. Another timeout, and when we come back, Utah Jazz are in action. We've got some NBA news with the All-Star game, and they're changing up a little bit how they do the lineups. Well, it's really the same thing. It's just when it happens is being changed. I'll update you on that coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
Want to set yourself apart from the competition? The Leadership MBA at Utah State University will help you lead companies and drive change in your organization. You can attend in person in Logan on Thursday evenings or take an interactive online class. Complete your MBA in as little as a year. Apply before March 1st to be considered for summer semester. Contact the MBA office for a waiver of the $55 application fee. Learn more at utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com.
What do Valentine's Day and Jarek's have in common? They're both all about the romance. Jarek's Fine Jewelry has a great selection for your sweetheart. Don't sweat it out worrying about where to get the perfect gift. We've recently added a 3D laser engraver. Now through Valentine's, Jarek's will personalize any jewelry purchase for no additional charge. We can engrave a wedding date, a name, or any message on most jewelry, like a pendant, watch, bracelet, the inside or outside of a ring. This Valentine's, let us help personalize your gift and make it special. Make it Jarek's.
Nothing compares to the warmth and feel that a wood stove provides. The two-time Best of Northern Utah winning team says there's never been a better time to replace your old inefficient wood stove and install a new energy-efficient EPA-certified Vermont casting wood product in your home. The U.S. government is offering federal tax credits of 26% on your wood stove install. For Vermont casting units, that includes stoves, venting, and labor. Call or email Advanced Fireplace and Stove for a free in-home estimate. Call 435-752-7272 or go to advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat is locally owned and operated inside the beautiful new Three Peaks Medical Plaza in North Logan. Expect the most cutting-edge techniques, qualified doctors, and friendly staff to ensure the highest quality patient care. The ENT providers have extensive training to properly treat ear, nose, and throat conditions for adults and children. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat serves all of northern Utah and southern Idaho, accepting most insurance products including SelectMed. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for appointments and details. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, located in North Logan and Providence.
Crystal Vision would like to thank their clients for their best year yet. They're grateful for your business and trust. It's a new year, so time for a new look. Crystal Vision, the gold medal winner in Best of Northern Utah, has a frame style you'll love that will set you apart from others. Take in your current prescription and let Crystal Vision fit you into a new look. Let this be the year your glasses feel like they were made for you. Crystal Vision on 14th North or online at crystalvision.com.
And now, the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
What do you do if you're the Raiders moving on from Derek Carr? Does it make sense that if Tom Brady wants to play next year, would he play for the Raiders? And my source said it's not a given that Josh McDaniels would want Tom Brady he might want Jimmy G.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Imagine your wedding day. Elegant, simple, yet stunning, stress-free. It's your day. It's all about you. Whether you're looking for small and simple or have a grander idea, the Riverwoods Conference Center will accommodate your every need. Choose the inside ballroom elegance or outside along the natural decor of the beautiful Logan River. A Riverwoods event planner will work personally with you to make sure your event is exactly how you've envisioned it. The Riverwoods Conference Center, where your happily ever after begins. Google Riverwoods Conference Center or call 750-5151.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the full court press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to Full Court Press. Last couple of minutes with you here before we hand it off to the odd couple for a little bit. Utah Jazz pregame will start at 7:50. Tip-off at 8 o'clock. They're on the road taking on the Portland Trailblazers. Utah trying to string together a couple of victories and stay right there in that playoff hunt, as also trying to continue to build their roster, at least strengthen their position coming into the NBA trade deadline coming up on February 9th. But, the NBA All-Star Game is coming to Salt Lake City on February 19th, and nobody's going to know what the roster is going to look like until that night. Now, it's been a bit of a thing where they've done this kind of a fake, pick your team kind of a broadcast, part of TNT when they do games earlier, and they'll start with the starters and then they'll go from there. And look, I don't necessarily dislike the new way of putting a team together instead of it being East versus West. But, the selection, the quote-unquote selection show was always a little goofy. It was kind of interesting for us as Jazz fans just to see, Rudy Gobert selected last for the last few years, and that was a lot of disrespect on Rudy. But the way they're going to do it this year is they're going to wait until that night. So the team captains will make their picks in a live, televised pregame segment shortly before the game starts. So, everybody will still be there. All the All-Stars will be known. They still have to choose the starters first, and then they go from there. But rather than announcing it like a week or two before to, I guess, heighten the hype for the All-Star game, they're going to make that part of the pregame activities. So I guess my question to that is, how do they know what jerseys they're going to wear and to put numbers and names on the jerseys before the game? So how early are they going to do that before the game is actually takes place? So logistically, I think that's going to be tricky how they do that, but I guess they're going to figure that out and do that in Salt Lake City for the first time. So, kind of something different there for the NBA and their All-Star game. Interesting information coming out from the NFL. Finalists are being reported for the Associated Press MVP and Offensive Player of the Year awards. Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Patrick Mahomes, Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Those are all finalists for the MVP for the NFL. Nick Bosa, he is an edge rusher for San Francisco. Chris Jones, defensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. Micah Parsons for the Cowboys. Those are finalists for the Defensive Player of the Year. So, Brian Dable, Doug Peterson, and Kyle Shanahan, those are the finalists for the Coach of the Year. So we're starting to get the finalists and figuring out as we get closer to the end of the playoffs here what the who the award finalists are going to be. But Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Mahomes, those are finalists for the Offensive Player of the Year, but they are also among the NFL MVP finalists to go along with Burrow and Mahomes. So interesting to see who's on these lists for the NFL, these finalists. And the NFL playoffs, the conference championships taking place this weekend, and we'll have those games both for the AFC and the NFC here on The Fan on Sunday. We've been able to have all the NFL playoff games here on The Fan, and we will have the Super Bowl as well coming up in a couple of weeks. So pretty impressive and fun to have those here on The Fan. 93115 texting in, won't this hurt jersey sales for All-Stars because you don't know the teams? Maybe, but who buys the jersey for the All-Star in their All-Star jersey before the game? I don't know, but maybe maybe there would be some who would buy them there at the arena that day or that weekend. So it's a fair point. You'd have some sales, some things you would be selling with the All-Stars, those players in jerseys, but maybe they have a generic one that's reversible. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. We'll find out here in a couple of weeks. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Once again, we'll have the full show available on podcast, 1069thefan.com.